Here we are, folks. Surviving through another year of gaming where no major companies released games that were underdeveloped or underperformed. In all honesty though, this was another great year for indie games, as we see the fall of big companies who still can't seem to get a grasp on why people won't buy the same regurgitated content or another season pass. The rise of indie developed games has become the go-to for fresh takes that push the boundaries of gaming. It is with this in mind that I wanted to make a video for the top 10 games to release this year, but with a few twists, and there are some rules for what can and can't be on the list. I'm joined today by fellow Deviant YouTuber Dorian the Explorian, who will be chiming in to give his opinions on where I went wrong and fix my mistakes since he has a high and mighty channel with over 1,000 subscribers, so let's welcome him on in.
Are you really going to talk to a minor celebrity this way? I mean, come on, 1K subscribers. Let's just assume your list is wrong and I'm right, and then we can move on with our day.
I mean, yeah, you've got like 4 or 5 times the amount of subscribers I do, which means you're 4 to 5 times more correct than me, isn't that right?
Exactly, and also, I am European, you're American, so basically you're always wrong because you don't know anything.
Okay, let's just go ahead and jump into the top 10 games of the year.
So I'm going to jump into some real quick criteria for what we decided would be on the list and what wouldn't be on the list. Firstly, we restricted the list to indie games, and I did stretch the rules for one game on this list, but it is only sitting around 5,000 reviews on Steam, so I didn't really feel like it broke that rule. Second, the game must have either released into early access this year or come out without early access this year. This means that a game like The Planet Crafter is not eligible for the list, given that it came out in early access before its official release date in April. I will say that would automatically be number 1 on my list if this wasn't the case, but the rule is to prevent a game that has technically been out for a while from being part of a list of games that are new. Lastly, and this is kind of more of a guideline instead of an outright rule, I will prioritize games that have less attention than games that blew up and are basking in the spotlight. I will add that this only had a small influence on my list because honestly, some of the bigger games from this year really didn't resonate with me all that much anyways. So with that, we are ready to get this list started. Coming in at number 10 is Songs of Steel Hispania. Developed by Meteor Byte Studios, which is the same studio that's bringing you Deck RX, the deck building racing game, this hidden gem with only 39 Steam reviews sees you playing as either Romans or Celtiberians during one of Rome's invasions of the Iberian Peninsula. The hand-drawn illustrations do a lot to bring immersion to the forefront, and alongside challenging combat scenarios and decision-making mechanics, the game really gave off vibes similar to the Banner Saga series. What I really enjoyed most about this is the interactions between the characters, as the Romans are rightfully arrogant, but you can still make decisions and interactions that have great potential to help or hurt your cause. I didn't quite finish the game as the Celtiberians, but I do enjoy the aspect of being able to play as them. And while I don't generally favor games that allow you to alter history, I think there has been enough done to allow for some creative freedoms and make it stand as almost a historical fiction as opposed to true history. The end result is a tough battle regardless of which story you choose to follow, but it is definitely worth it.
Well, I haven't heard about it, and it does look amazing. To be fair, it does look like something I'd enjoy, but Deck RX, yes, I am so looking forward to the game, and there's another game from the developer. I will have it on my wish list. Thanks for the recommendation, and I don't see it on my top 10, but yeah, it's okay.
At number 9 we have Chef RPG. Stardew Valley is one of the most successful life simulation role-playing games, regardless of its status as an indie game. As such, there have been many games that look to use some of what makes Stardew such an endearing and engaging experience in order to create the next big thing. While I don't think Chef RPG will reach those heights, I think the experience is definitely one to check out if you're looking for more of the same vibes. Also giving some Moonlighter vibes with hunting for ingredients instead of treasure to flip for a profit, Chef RPG seems to do a ton to separate itself from being a mere clone with an engaging world, quick time cooking challenges, and a large cast of diverse characters, so it makes it really easy to pick up and really difficult to put down. There's even a devlog that started 4 years ago on YouTube by Pixel Architect where they documented their development journey, and it's also worth checking out if you want to see how much effort went into bringing you a complete experience.
I have to say, I loved Moonlighter, and this game does remind me of that. And cooking is one thing that games tend to not get right for me for some reason. How is the cooking minigame? Is it just simple, hit the right button at certain.
Yeah, there's so I didn't get to too many complex dishes, but some of them are like pressing a button at the right time to flip the items in the skillet, and if you get them done perfectly, you increase the value of the dish. Some of them are like a Guitar Hero or Dance Dance Revolution style track where you had to press the arrow keys in the right order and the right timing. There's different ways to do the dishes, but your skill in doing that also affects the profit and your reputation for the store. And the better the reputation, the more people you get to come in, which can drive profit, which allows you to buy your own home, because in this game you can apparently live to a point where you can actually afford to buy a house.
This one looks very good, but I'm here to disagree with you, so I disagree. Let's move on.
At number 8, we have the newest game to release this year, and that is Menace from the Deep. This roguelike deck builder has so many aspects that borrow from other similar games, but still manages to keep its identity and make you want to come back for more. As a member of an occult society, you are sent out as one of 3 different classes that each have 6 different styles of pre-made decks, aside from the option to create your own deck full of cards that you look to utilize to take down all manner of monsters. The more I played this game, the more I enjoyed just how many mechanics go into things that aren't the combat, like the various encounters that you have watching a shuffle game to get a specific relic you want, the ability to create a collection of relics to unlock unique dialogue options, the rebuilding of a museum used as headquarters for your society that grants you with bonuses for future runs, and even the mechanic where you're uncovering the truth behind certain NPCs. Menace from the Deep did a lot to surprise me, and it's no wonder that it made this list despite only having been out for a little over a month.
To be honest, I had this on my wishlist because I played the demo and I really enjoyed it, but it did not really click for me. But it is great that it clicked for you, and as for many others, since the Steam page is riveting. I'm actually not surprised that you like it because, yeah, you love Lovecraftian, I got that, but you also love existential crisis. So
yeah, there's a bit of a
looks
theme.
like it's up your alley, yeah.
Coming in at number 7, we have Soul Mask. This survival game takes heavy inspiration from Aztec design and folklore. During your time playing, you will bring many into your tribe and under your influence in a system that is definitely not slavery in order to create automation that's all enabled thanks to the powers of the mask that you wear. The mask also grants you powers that you can upgrade and modify various aspects of how you approach the game. There are a variety of weapons that have different strengths, and there's even different mounts that you can use to traverse the large map in front of you. With a large map for you to settle as you see fit and a PvP side for those who want a challenge, there's plenty to keep you busy. Just be careful in your explorations as you may run into someone or something you're not ready for.
So now I can agree with you because Soul Mask is also on my top 10 list, although on a different spot. But regarding your comment about it's definitely not slavery, I know why you try to avoid the word slavery, because the Civil War was also not about slavery, right? Anyway, I totally agree with you. Soul Mask is definitely in the top 10 of 2024. And I ended the sentence in a high note, so it sounded like there should be more, but there isn't.
Rounding off the first half of this list gives us Esports Godfather at number 6. I may sound contradictory when I talk about this game, but it really has a lot going for it. Managing an esport team in a MOBA environment is oddly satisfying. A rotating set of rules and equipment keeps you on your toes, and I always look forward to the release of new heroes that kept things fresh. And there's even a farming team to dig up new talent, with each player having their own special abilities and hero specialties. I do have a few gripes on how the AI system works for your players, and it always seems like the opposing team has the perfect cards to defeat you, especially on the harder difficulty, but the overall experience is one that made it easy for me to put more hours into than any other game I did this year.
Okay, enough is enough. I get why you put in a deck builder, I would do the same, I will do the same on my list, but a MOBA, no. Definitely not. Even though the game looked nice, even though I liked your video about it, nope. I have to draw a line. This will be it. This is now my video. I am the captain now.
You're gonna take over now?
Yes. Call me Mr. Phillips. Captain Phillips. What's his name?
Mr. Phillips?
You know the guy from the movie with the crooked teeth?
Yes. Captain Phillips was the one who was the captain and is no longer the captain. You're the Somali
Captain
pirate.
You're the former captain, but you're Phillips.
You were the captain now.
You were the captain now, I am the captain now. Anyway, I have to interject. This will be my list now, I am the captain now. While I agree on one title, the other 4 I did not agree, and therefore I will do the list now. Here are my remaining top 5 of the year. Since we did a visual step down from Soul Mask to a esport Godfathers game, we will now do another huge step down visually, because my first entry on your list is Isle of Swaps. A deck building roguelike which just hit me with an amazing amount of nostalgia, since it is heavily inspired by the Pokemon trading card game, which I played in primary school, talking about great combinations with my friends during breaks and traded cards on a whim, which now are probably worth a month's rent. With the typical energy resource obtained through various cards, we are limited during a round, allowing us to only play 3 cards in a turn, while the enemy's intentions are shown and can be worked around by moving our definitely not Pokemon on the board. Every win lets us trade cards from our binder, while finishing a run successfully lets us unlock the used cards in a master binder, bringing a sort of endgame into the mix where we fight against champions for glory and, of course, more cards. I love being transported back to my childhood where I still had hopes and dreams instead of pills and an unhealthy diet. Still, my number 5 entry without a question.
You know, when you covered this game, it really reminded me of the game TCG Card Shop Simulator. The art for the cards in this game and in the TCG Card Shop Simulator game looks so similar that I could have sworn that it was made by the same people. And I honestly still feel like these 2 games could combine into something that's just even bigger than they both already are. I think this game has a lot to offer for anyone who's really wanting that nostalgic hit for Pokemon. And honestly, I don't really fault you for throwing this on there.
See, I am more right because I just have more subscribers. That's just how the internet works.
Okay, fine. Move on to your number 4 and see if you can try to keep impressing me.
Oh, you will see, I will impress you. And if not with my list, I will send you nudes. Anyway, here's the next title, Rogue Waters. Rogue Waters is a pirate-themed, story-driven roguelite with a cursed protagonist, huge sea creatures, entertaining sea battles, brutal melee battles, and a typical roguelike map where we drift from one encounter to the next. Even though it is a roguelite, it still finds a great way to provide us with consistent progression by leveling up our crew members through fights, obtaining better ship cannons, and add modules to our vessel for passive buffs during the boarding skirmishes. While every encounter starts out with a sea battle where we shoot at the enemy's cannons to reduce incoming damage, the modules to lower the positive boons, or reduce the enemy numbers by firing at the crew, the also turn-based boarding battles are just as entertaining. Every character has a specific skill set, with most not only hitting but also pushing the enemy into a direction, leading to great interactions with the surrounding, like a push overboard. Putting a cherry on top with Sea Beast listening to our commands and smashing our enemies, Rogue Waters easily shimmied down my list to number 4.
Well, you know how I am. I always like to look at the developer of games and do some more deep diving into these kind of things. And I will say the company that make this, Ice Code Games, also released a game called Hard West 2, which is kind of a Western style version of this. And I will say that that game impressed me a heck of a lot. So when this game came around, I was really excited to try the demo, and I failed miserably at doing that. So I definitely will have to take your word for it, because it does look amazing and it does seem like something that the developer will be just doing what they did in the Western world. They take a Western game that they made and give you a pirate twist so that way you can have fun sailing the 7 seas.
I have to admit, one of my earliest videos was on Hard West 2. I did a demo dive, this is now your territory, and
demo diving's mine. You can't use that. No. That's my content. Trademarked me. Demo diving. That's me. No one else.
Let our lawyers talk it out. Entering the top 3, I am finishing my list with small, rather unknown titles like this one. I mean, have you heard of Palworld?
Is that the game that, you know, completely ripped off Pokemon, and, you know, Nintendo is now coming down on it?
I guess you've heard of it. Anyway, it's my 3rd entry on the list. As number 5 on my list showed, I was from the Pokemon breed. Never watched Digimon, and the name of the 3rd big monster-based title of the 90s I often forget entirely. Combining the before mentioned slave system, which I, as a white heterosexual male, The only miss, we catch pals, use them to craft a base, level them up to fight bigger and meaner pals, while being armed with guns and enough other machinery, seeing us become the most wanted on every PETA list. Work, you filthy animal! While the inspiration of the game cannot be more on the nose, exploring the world on the backs of these unique creatures just gives us an enormous sense of adventure. Since we cannot only ride on those pals, but utilize the skills in combat as well, the at first seemingly simple looking combat doesn't get much more complex, just like Pokemon. 10 out of 10, I love it. Let's move on to the next entry.
So before we move on though, I want to say that like people were upset that Nintendo didn't come crashing down and sue them immediately, when in reality there's a lot that actually makes it different from Pokemon. But the truth of the matter is Nintendo doesn't know how to make a good Pokemon game.
Well, at least we know what the comments will be about. So let's move on to the next one. With the last intro being quite sarcastic regarding the unknown title, this one is actually quite unknown and yet not to be overlooked, for Heistgeist combines great voice acting, an entertaining, gripping story with clever deck building, impactful choices and a combat system that diverges from the rehashed card battlers. Following the journey of the singer Pink, we weave through a story about a failed robbery and a harsh deadline of a dangerous client, while each heist sees us launch into maps guarded by hacking grids, dangerous robots and armed security personnel. With each card being a part of the ABC combo system, we play the diverse skills in succession depending on the indicated action of our opponents. If they are about to attack, we can utilize a combo where we gain more shield points, warding off damage, while a higher damage output can be achieved by playing a B card before the heavy finisher C card. This clever system of combining basic and enhanced effects of the various skills with the mentioned hacking grids, the combat encounters of Heistgeist are the entertaining main course, while the side dish of the great story and brilliant voice acting combine in this title, being my second favorite game of the year.
Now we have a talking robot.
You know, it really stands out to me that you would take a game that is very, very new and throw it so high onto the list. But I know that you and I both really enjoy a good roguelike deck builder, so it's really hard for us to not just shower this entire list of just purely roguelike deck building games. So for you to be able to not only so few on your list, but also name one so highly, it really is something that I feel like more people need to be checking out. It's definitely one that will be on my list thanks to your coverage of it, because I genuinely never even heard of it, and I just got done making a video of 13 new and upcoming games, and somehow this slipped under my radar.
Oh yes, we are huge fans of deck building roguelikes, but the thing is, Heistgeist isn't even a roguelike. It is story-driven RPG which just has maps that look like a roguelike, and since it's a deck builder and deck builders are often connected to roguelikes, it does appear like one, but it isn't. And well, on number one, you are not surprised, I am not surprised, it is Enshrouded. I mean, what can I say about this game that combines a vibrant living world with a simple quest system, amazing exploration, a really easy to handle building UI, and the sort of action combat I would love to see in an MMO. The world of Enshrouded just breathes, is radiant and feels alive, and while I played it together with a friend for roughly 20 hours, I now have to confess I played behind his back even more on a solo server. Crafting feels rewarding, exploration is one of the biggest part of the game, and the constant updates with new biomes, weapons and other additions saw me play the game so much that I didn't even want to do a video on it, since I couldn't stop playing. I guess this is how Heron feels like, but better. Which is why Enshrouded for me is the best game of the year 2024, and probably many years to come, if we wouldn't count its release date.
It's definitely one of those I agree with you on this list. My list includes Enshrouded too, very, very high, but unfortunately it didn't quite make the number one spot on my list. It got edged out by a game that I think has a little bit more of an impact to the story, but that shouldn't dissuade you from playing Enshrouded, as it's really, really fun to play with your friends. And I can't say enough about how much enjoyment there is.
See, I knew you would agree on my list, even though you would say Enshrouded is not number one, but everyone is entitled to their own opinion, no matter how wrong it is.
Enshrouded is not number one for me, but it does make the top cut for me, so I think maybe I should show you how it's done, so that way you can see what a real top 5 really looks like.
Give it a try. Let's see your list then.
Yeah, definitely. I'll bring it over to your channel. That way your audience can see that your high and mighty opinion isn't always so correct. Well, that's it for this list of the top 10 games of the year, with some assistance from my friend Dorian the Explorian. I want to thank Dorian for agreeing to partner up on a video like this and tell you to check out his video if you want to see the rest of both of our lists. If you aren't subbed to his channel, make sure to show him some love by subbing and leaving a comment letting him know what you thought. If you came over here from Dorian's video, welcome. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope to see more of you, but that'll be it for this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and as always, be kind to one another. Thanks again to Dorian for partnering with me on this list. I've got a jam-packed schedule for the rest of the year, but I would be happy to do this again in the future. I also want to give shoutouts to Relativity, Naughty Dog is King, Chaos, and Kamikolo alongside all those subbed to the channel. Stay tuned for a video talking about what upcoming games in 2025 I think are worth keeping your eye on, but with that, I will see you soon.